Hello, hello, and good Monday to you, this July 21st, in the day of our Lord Donald Trump. And that's probably going to be our main topic today. Because I'm pleased for the world, Ted, that it's been a slow news weekend. There's no bombings in Iran. There's no nothing new, I don't know, more floods. So surprisingly, been kind of a quiet news weekend, which is kind of good news. I'm Manila Chan. That is Ted Rall over there. You're tuned into the Ted Manila Information Show, or TMI Show for short, because we bring you way too much information. We're live Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time, so please be sure to hit the like and the follow button wherever you're consuming this content, especially if you are on YouTube, because we started that channel a little bit later, so we're kind of behind the curve there and need your support so we can continue to grow this channel and hit the monetized button. Is that the right way to put it? No, I don't know. On YouTube. But we need your support there, especially on YouTube, so we can become monetized and actually start earning some revenue. We'd appreciate that. So thank you for being here. On today's show, we're going to talk a little more about the whole ordeal about Donald Trump, I would say fully joining the NeoCons. And he's continuing his war against Thomas Massie, especially now that Massie is pushing to bring to the floor a bill to force the release of the Epstein files. So, as you know, Donald Trump's really not into that. So he's really attacking Massie even more. Meanwhile, his ex-BFF, Elon Musk, has promised to support Massie. So he's going to make it rain on Thomas Massie. So this breakup, the saga continues there. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Trump also lashing out at Barack Obama. And I believe I don't think his team created this AI video, but there was an AI video that I believe he retweeted or retruthed about. The image was depicting Barack Obama getting hauled off from the White House to jail, to prison over the Russiagate hoax. Now that there's a new DNI report from Tulsi Gabbard's crew about how that was all fake. And for all these years, Donald Trump calling it a hoax. And of course, I agree with that, because me and my colleagues of 10 years got dragged into that. And more Trump news regarding Afghan refugees trapped in the UAE. The UAE hauling them back, Ted, after they're like, all right, 2 or 3 years of humanitarian support. That's all we got. We're just giving them back, getting our refund with the Taliban. We'll tell you what that's all about. Japanese elections just happened. The left, I don't even know if they're really left, but the left-leaning party there has basically been in power since the 1950s.
It's not a left party. Yeah,
they're not left. They're all kind of conservative, right? But the party
center right, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So this party has been in power since the 1950s, all except one election cycle.
Yeah. Great democracy they have there.
Yes, true democracy.
They're not quite Ukraine, but they're close.
They're working towards it.
Mm-hmm.
But this may have just changed that. And then kind of as a fun Monday thing, just as a reminder, because it's Monday, it's a work day. There's a interesting survey, a poll out about how U.S. workers feel anxiety about asking their boss for their PTO. Mind you, it's part of your job agreement.
PTO, for those of us who don't live in acronym world.
Oh, paid time off.
Thank you.
Paid time off, your PTO. It is in your workers' contract. If for 3 out of 4 American workers, you are promised time off that you will be paid for. And this new poll, I think, is an interesting chat topic also, Ted, is it the American work ethic? Is it the slave driving ethic that we have by corporations? It's that the culture in America, in corporate America or in company America, is that, it's driving us to death. Not quite as much as the Japanese.
The Japanese at least have recognized the problem.
Have they?
In Japan, there is a cabinet level, and I worked for a Japanese company, so at the time this was instituted, so I took great interest in this. There's a cabinet level Ministry of Leisure that was addressing
Ministry of Leisure
that was meant to address the epidemic of suicides and stress-related deaths of salarymen in Japan, and they have sweeping powers. And among those powers, so for example, office buildings in major cities like Tokyo are
don't give away the plot.
Are closed from 5 or 6 o'clock at night on Friday till Monday. You can't work on you can't, like here in New York. You
can't badge in.
Yeah, you can badge in and be like, look at me, I worked on Saturday. It's like you can't do that. And let's say you do. Let's say you forgot your house keys at work. I did that. You would need to go find a local constable and have them open the door for you, escort you to your desk, and be like, Ted-san,
get your thing,
get your keys, and leave. And so that's how it would work. And it's been very effective.
As we know, Japan has been overworked. Japan has been overworked literally to death, and their population decline is of major concern. They're not getting married. They're not having kids. And maybe, Ted, we should be taking a cue from Japan there. And maybe that's why Americans aren't getting married, aren't having kids. We're not paid enough. We're overworked. And we used to pride ourselves, right, as Americans, like the American spirit, American know-how, American ingenuity. Well, I think people are dying. Like more people are on psychotropic meds than ever before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and there's other reasons for that too.
Sure.
Americans, I used to buy into that, and then back when I was a young man, I read a story about that was really interesting. This is still true, by the way. France has higher productivity among their workers.
They have the most time off.
And they have the most time off. So
in all Western cultures.
So the average work week for a Frenchman is 28 hours. The average work week for an American is 46 hours. The rate per hour of productivity of a French worker is so much higher that it's even the aggregate productivity of France is higher per considering their population than the United States. So we're not, and if you know France, it's not like it's technology. They have a tech sector, but it's not like better than ours. Okay, I mean, it's in some ways it's pretty impressive, in other ways it's very unimpressive, and so it's kind of like it kind of balances out. So you have to think it's because they're better rested, and also if you think about people who work in an office, right? I mean, okay, let's say you work 8 hours. Are you really working 8 hours? No, it's FaceTime. You're not there. You're there in case the boss wants to see you. You're not really you don't need to be there. So, think about you.
We'll talk about
9 o'clock. Ted checks in. Oh, it's time to take a dump. Head to the bathroom. It's now 9:30. It's like, oh, okay.
That's a long dump, Ted.
Well, I read the paper while I'm in there, and then it's like, oh, yeah, I just remember 9:31 back at desk. Oh, 9:35. Oh, time for coffee. It's been a little while. Got to go. Oh, look, I ran into some of my coworkers. I'd be remiss not to talk to my coworkers.
Cigarette break.
Yeah, and on and on and on. It's like, maybe I can sneak out and go to the ATM. Oh, okay, see ya. So yeah, you're really working about 3 hours a day if you're a typical office worker.
Well,
like really working. Like let's just say let's just say your company said, okay.
Now Robbie's shaking his head, and I disagree
9 to 12
as well, because my job was on the air, so I couldn't escape.
Well, that's different. But I mean, if you're just shuffling papers, yeah, and
I was on the air for 3 hours.
You work
every
in a
day.
hospital? No, that's not the case. But
Robbie works in the medical industry. So
as a taxi driver, I really did work the whole 12-hour shift. I mean, of course.
Yeah. All right, we'll get into that. We'll save that for the juicy bits. So let's go ahead and hit the jaws and get into.
Manila, I'm going to spring something on you as soon as we jaws. I have a story that broke. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it very quickly. It's immigration.
Wait, should we do that before the jaws?
Yeah, all right, let's just do it right now. Here we go. All right. So check this out. This is absolutely outrageous to me. And I think no matter how you feel about migration and immigration and border control, this has got to piss you off. All right. So there's a guy named Luis Leon, 82 years old. He lived in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Back in 1987, he had been tortured under the regime of U.S.-backed Chilean dictator Augusto Pinochet, one of the most notorious scumbag, despots of Latin America back in the 20th century.
But we loved those.
We sure did. We were friends with all of them.
We love him.
And so anyway, Pinochet tortured this guy. He got asylum into the United States, political asylum, under Reagan, it should be added. And anyway, so he lost his wallet. In his wallet was his green card. On June 20th, he went to the ICE office. You know where this is going. To get his new green card replaced, right? Because his wallet was gone. He's 82 years old. He goes there to ICE on June 20th in Allentown. ICE grabbed him, snatched him away from his elderly wife. He was abused for 10 hours until the relatives came to pick her up. Then after that, he vanished. Nobody knew where he was. ICE wouldn't tell the family where he was. Turns out he was sent to an ICE gulag in Minnesota and then deported to Guatemala, where he died. And that is, and so he's not even from Guatemala. He has no Guatemalan connection whatsoever. So basically, the Trump administration murdered this guy. In other words, Pinochet wasn't able to do it to finish the job, but Trump was. Trump murdered this guy.
Oh, that's so sad. Such a sad story.
I mean, and no one, this is just a minor story today, but I just thought it deserved a highlight.
What a sad story.
I mean, seriously, it's disgusting.
So sad. So that's why you can't just do these broad sweeps of anybody that looks non-American, whatever that means. But anyway, we also want to give a shout out to, I don't know exactly how to pronounce the handle on our Rumble chat, but our viewer, Alec X49, shout out for becoming a monthly subscriber. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you,
Alec.
We appreciate you. Wait, what's the mystery about how to pronounce Alec?
No, it's ALEXQ.
Oh.
49.
Well, I think it's Alex Q, right?
Is it Alex Q or is it
Alex?
Alex?
Probably Alex starts and then last name starts with a Q, I'm guessing.
No. Last name starts with an X?
Alex Quintana.
No. Alec with a Q.
Alec Quintana.
With an
I've decided
X
it's Quintana.
and then 49. You're deciding it.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Quintana.
Thank you.
Don't go. But given your name, you may
or Ms.
You might
you
want
don't know. It
that's
could
true.
be.
Alec can definitely be a girl's name.
Could be a female.
Maybe don't go to the ICE office
they, them.
if your name is really Quintana. Ever, don't go to ICE.
I knew one Quintana.
I mean, it's
Quintana.
like, the ICE thing. It's like this reminds me when I visited Tehran once. There was an office. I was walking around Tehran and with my fixer. And there's it's a city. It's a normal city.
Sure. We saw the dog parks and all of that.
Incredibly ominous office with two guys carrying Uzis guarding it with Iranian flags. And it's got rust pouring off the side. And it looked like, I was like, whoa, that is with two scary looking gunmen guarding it. I'm like, is that like a torture office? And he started laughing. He goes, that's the Tourist Information Center. And I go, what? He goes, yeah, they don't understand why
get information here.
Nobody ever goes in. He goes, yeah, you go. I'm like, you mean you go in there and get a map? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yes. No. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need a map. I'll figure it out. I don't need no map for me. I'm doing roll. I'll roll Google Maps. This will work for me.
I feel like I could really help them with some marketing there, Ted.
I think for sure you'd help.
Maybe paint bright colors out front, put flowers out, have the men not holding guns. They can be out front.
Right. Or maybe just point the guns down.
Or maybe reduce the gun size to handgun and keep it holstered.
Sure. Or get those cute get how Israel has the really hot murderous IDF soldiers.
Yes.
If they could
get some hot Persian women out front.
Yeah, the Iranians are just as hot. Yeah, get some hot, girl soldiers out there instead. I mean, it would help.
Yeah. It would help and bring. If you want people to utilize your information office for tourists, and attract more tourism.
So the reason I'm telling this story is because that's what ICE is now. Oh, I lost my green card. I might be like, Papa,
you're arrested.
Papa, maybe you don't have a green card anymore. What do you mean? I lost my card. I need a replacement. I know, but maybe
but you don't actually have it.
You don't really have to go.
It means you don't have it.
Yeah, you never.
That's what that means now.
You're 82. Ted, so it's bye. Yeah, don't go there.
Oh, very sad.
Basically, don't go to the ICE office. It's a rule.
Oh,
I mean, especially if they tell you to come, don't go.
It's been
during the Holocaust, people always the cliche of the Holocaust, Manila, is that German soldiers broke down your door and dragged you off into the night, and that certainly happened.
But
that's not what how the vast majority of them were deported. The vast majority of the victims received a postcard in the mail, and it said, "Report at 8 a.m. at the train station with 2 bags," and people did, and it's
just thinking they're good, being good citizens,
following the rules. Yeah, the ones who were like, "Fuck that," might have survived. The World Trade Center on 9/11. As soon as the first plane hit, recordings went over the intercom. Do not leave your desks. The building is not being evacuated. It is not safe to leave. Remain in place. Do not evacuate.
Is that really what happened?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard about that one.
And so it was almost
I didn't know there was an intercom system.
It was almost like a Darwin test. Basically, all the people who were disobedient and were survive that. There's a fucking plane on fire.
The building shook.
Me. Yeah, a plane.
The building shook. I'm out of here.
Yeah, see ya. You guys work it out later. Bye. Well,
that reminds me. So in 2008, there was a big earthquake in Iran. And at the time I lived in Dubai, and I was, I'm in one of these giant towers. And remember, I'm from LA, the land of earthquakes, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I'm like at a meeting on like the 36th floor or something of some tower. And the tower, of course, they're new, so it's starting to sway. And everybody else, we stop. The meeting stops, and everyone's looking around like, what's going on? And I stand up and I go, earthquake! And no one responds.
California
No one responds.
Knows right away.
I respond, earthquake. No one responds to me, and they're all looking at me like, what's that? And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'll meet you guys after I know that this is over.
Things called tectonic plates, and they move.
Right. So I didn't get into that. And I was right. I gotta go. And I'm like running down 36 floors because I don't know the safety of this building. And
well, that's a good point. No.
So I'm running down the stairs. I don't trust the elevators. Because I lived there, believe me. So I go down the stairs, running down the stairs, and nobody understands what earthquakes were, or at the time, like it was a big one. And the epicenter was in Iran.
Well, and it's like when we had our earthquake here in New York, and
everyone stayed seated
while I was on the air, and I was like, "Wait, what's going on?" I mean, I'm not used to earthquakes.
Well, so my response was, "Get up! It's an earthquake. We're way up high. Get up! Follow me out. Get out!" And some people were like, "Oh," and okay, fuck you guys.
Yeah, in those situations, right? Like, doesn't time seem to just like everyone's talking really really slow.
So that was
and you're like,
that was that
like,
Darwin
what's wrong
test.
with you? Why can't you see this? Let's go now.
That was the Darwin test there.
Mm-hmm.
And then thankfully the building did prove to be that new kind of structure that can sway.
Yeah,
but
you wouldn't be here.
It was 2008.
You wouldn't be here if that wasn't the case. I mean, they've been built like that for a while, but yeah.
Right. But this was, mind you, this is the Middle East.
The World Trade Center moved a lot. It moved. It swayed 20 feet each direction. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't trust the engineering that was happening at the time. It was the early 2000s. I don't know. So, when I've seen like Bangladeshi workers falling off buildings all the time, why would I trust that being on the 36th floor of a 70 floor tower would be safe during an earthquake?
Right. Okay. So
anyway, all right, there's that.
Sorry. My apologies for the delay. Thomas Massie, he's a Republican MAGA congressman from Kentucky, is again going up against Trump. This time what he's doing is he's putting forward a bill that would force the White House to release more of the Epstein files. So basically, as you know, there's been a civil war in MAGA world ever since the Trump administration announced last week that supposedly there's no evidence whatsoever that there are other people other than Epstein who are guilty of any crimes, although there's mixed messaging from the administration about that. And also that there's no, that basically he just committed suicide. The official story that was given to us when he died at the Metropolitan Detention Center here in New York City, although a lot of people, me included, don't believe that story. Anyway, this information has caused a lot of people in MAGA world to think that, the Trump administration is hiding something. He spent the whole week saying that the Epstein files are a Democratic hoax, but there's absolutely 0.000%
he's suing the Wall Street Journal, Ted.
That he is suing the Wall Street Journal over the Wall Street Journal article saying that he drew a picture of a girl with boobs and talked about how, and then later he said, I don't draw pictures. The New York Times quickly found many cartoons that Trump has drawn over the years. And
Ted, you better look out. He's going to be the national cartoonist in chief.
He's breathing down my neck. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, he could at this rate win a Pulitzer before I do. But anyway, so he said like the party and the media should move on from this boring stuff. Donald, let me tell you something about boring. I know about boring. That's not boring. It's not boring. It's not boring. So anyway, so Massie's filed a discharge petition Tuesday in the House of Representatives to force a release of more info. In an interview with Kentucky Public Radio, which is, I guess, still on the air despite those NPR cuts, Massie said that he's advancing the discharge petition because the American people deserve to know what was in the files, and I think we've got to get as much justice for the victims as we can. I think it's important that we keep our promises, and this was a campaign promise that the president made, and it's a promise that his administration has made, his vice president has made, his son has made, and it's a promise that's not been kept. Can't argue with a word of that. He dismissed the labeling of the files as a hoax, saying he suspects there is info about collaborators, maybe not a client list per se, because it wasn't really that, but other people, other pedophiles. If it's a hoax, I would say Ghislaine Maxwell needs to be pardoned, Massie said. And if it's a hoax, the Veep fell for it. Trump's own kids fell for it. The deputy director of the FBI fell for it. The FBI director fell for it. And the AG fell for it. I suspect it's not a hoax. On social media, Trump blasted what he called stupid and foolish Republicans who have bought into this bullshit hook, line, and sinker. As to why Trump is pushing back so hard, Massie said he doesn't really think Trump is directly implicated as a guy who rapes kids, but suggested that there were other buddies of his he's trying to protect. Again, I would agree with that. I don't particularly think that Trump is implicated. He said maybe some of his friends are. Okay, so this is more your world than mine, Manila. This and it's like not pedophilia, but not that that's my world either. But I mean, just this war within MAGA world between Trump and and his supporters who really have. Now, my understanding as an outsider, and I only really started to pay deep attention to Epstein fairly recently, is that basically Trump really worked this up to a lather all throughout for years. It was part of QAnon. Mm-hmm. It was centered with QAnon. He supported sort of tacitly QAnon's desire to crack down on pedophiles, and basically they've spun these narratives like Pizzagate and so on, that there is a vast network of rich and well-connected pedophiles who are preying on American kids. And there's, of course, it's certainly true that pedophilia is a massive problem in the United States. And it's also true that Epstein was one. And it's also true that he hobnobbed with a lot of people. What's not certain is who else he procured sex, underage, illegal sex for these gross adults for. And basically, Trump promised, I will blow this out wide open. But then he gets in, takes a look at the files, doesn't like what he sees for some reason, which we don't know, which we're only speculating on here. And now the base is largely refusing to go away quietly and to pretend like they never heard of this whole thing. So this, to me, the narrative here is Trump's going against brand. And when you go against brand, that's always a problem. So
well,
take it away.
Yes, obviously it's not even, it goes beyond just being your stump speeches and what your platform was when you were campaigning. This is, like you said, Ted, it's a brand. Like Clorox, for example, everybody knows Clorox. It's a brand of bleach, a brand of cleaning product, right? And if Clorox decided to come out and be like, we're gonna go into I don't know, egg production now. There's not that cleaning products don't, it's not our thing. We're gonna move into egg farming. People be like, no, you've been selling bleach for 130 years.
Yeah, you could do that overseas. Jockey, the underwear company, in Kyrgyzstan in 1997. They had a Jockey store for high-end suits, and I guess they figured they wanted to see if they could sell $4,000 suits to the Kyrgyz, who were making $18 a month, and it's like it didn't work. Of course, the Kyrgyz economy collapsed also right around that time.
Yeah, but that's just not smart. But the same thing with Trump.
But
also
you
not
can
smart.
Try to change your brand overseas. Like Holiday Inn is a more luxury brand in other countries. Like in China or whatever, Holiday Inn can be a 4-star hotel, not like here.
Well, yeah. So to that extent, Trump's brand is international, and he was blowing the horn really loudly about this anti-pedophilia QAnon stuff. Now, I'm not super into Q, so that's not really my world, but I actually did report on the Epstein stuff for many years, which is why I ended up as one of the clips on the Ghislaine Maxwell Filthy Rich Netflix special, right? I was like, oh, there's, to my surprise, we showed a clip of that. And it's because I reported on it for many years. So there is reason to believe there is a lot of dirty deeds being done by very well-known, famous, rich.
Pam Bondi says, okay, so
right.
there's video of basically child rape going on.
Yeah.
And so the logical question is
so
do those videos contain any imagery or evidence against perpetrators? There's no answer. There's been no answer forthcoming from the administration.
There's too many holes to this story. Who's raping the underage girls?
Right. Are the perpetrators there? Do we know anything? Producer Robbie correctly says, Trump ran on draining the swamp and breaking establishment power.
So that was his brand.
Of course, this prompts the question, right? Can a president of the United States drain the swamp or break establishment power? Can you do that from inside? I don't think you can. I don't. I don't think.
Well, now
once you get in there, they own you.
We're seeing when Trump and Elon were bros still. This is a picture of them from Mar-a-Lago after elections, but before Trump was inaugurated. And as we know, the big breakup happened. Elon, in that first 48 hours, Elon fired back that Trump needs to release the Epstein files, but he won't because he's in them.
But in them is a very
that's an
extremely vague statement, to say the least.
Fine, right. That's like saying Manila Chan was in Washington, D.C. on the day of July 6th, the Capitol riots. So therefore, she's a rioter.
Yeah, well, Ted Rall was in New York on 9/11. Also
right.
True,
oh, well, Ted. So
and not that far.
So, on January 6th, right? So I'm not a J6er, but I was in Washington. So,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's just it's guilt by association.
So but Elon is now publicly backing Thomas Massie and Massie's efforts to bring this to a floor vote to compel the federal government to release documents. I hesitate to say that there would be much support, much less bipartisan support, because I know a lot of Democrats would view this as a means to damage Donald Trump, so they think. But I also think there's a lot of Republicans that are going to obviously say no to this because they want to protect Donald Trump and protect their party. But overall, the powerful elites want to protect their own.
All right, but so you need a majority vote here in the House and in the Senate. So let's play this out. Every Democrat will vote for it. Fact.
No, not fact, because I think some of them are connected to some of those people.
Okay, most Democrats will vote for it.
The vast majority. I'll say vast majority.
90%. All the ones who haven't been doing very bad things. Okay, so.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, people who might not vote for it might be people who have other things to hide, not Epstein related, but who, kind of like, this is uncomfortable for me because, I know I did this other thing I don't want anyone to know about. Okay, fine. But then still, 90% of Democrats will vote. So it's an even 50-50 House, pretty much, almost. So can Massie get the 30 Republican votes that he needs out of 219, I think it is, Republicans in the House? Can he get them? I would 30? I would think, yeah. But what do you,
I don't know. But, I honestly don't think so.
I'm not an expert vote counter like LBJ was, but I bet he can get there.
You're not the best whip predictor or prognosticator.
No, especially not for Republicans.
I would say I'll say no, and here's why. There's too many of them that are up for re-election in 26, and they would be fearful of having Trump even tweet about them, right? And that they're not, because they're not as famous as Thomas Massie, so they're not going to get Elon Musk to support them the way Massie is having
okay,
Musk
but
support.
if you vote, here's the problem that you have. If you're a Republican House member, so if you vote with the president here, then you are voting to seal the Epstein files. You are voting to be part of the cover-up,
like
and you're going to get you're going to be taking heat
Marjorie.
from the base. Yeah, like those people are, but I'm talking about people who live in Marjorie red style districts. Not like, even if you yourself don't care about this issue as a Republican representative, you are nevertheless, you're getting heat from your base who does care, and you can get primaried out.
Think they would. I don't think they would, out of fear, and that they'll fall in line, because that's just how it works in Washington.
Or are they more afraid of Trump or their Republican base?
Trump.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
for sure, hands down. Just having been a Capitol Hill reporter and seeing how these relationships work and how they talk when cameras are off, I just get the sense that while Trump is in office, nobody is going to step out of line. And this is exactly the way it was with the Democrats under Obama. Nobody was going to step out of line. Nobody was going to go against the dictates of POTUS. So I feel like there are very few people other than Marjorie Taylor Greene and Massie.
Trump in the extremely awkward. I mean, Trump's already had to yield to some pressure in this vein, right? I mean, late last week, he had the AG Bondi go to the courts and say,
right, and she's asking
and formally request a release of grand jury testimony, which would not be requires a judge's approval to be unsealed.
Yeah, but as we know, right, like people are going to say, with the grand juries, the grand jury can indict a ham sandwich or whatever.
Well, not to mention grand jury testimony.
Not even going to be that much.
It's a drop in the bucket for what it's not everything they have, right?
But the at the core of this, and we got to move on. The core of this is that the MAGA base is completely in upheaval.
They're furious, right?
They're furious over this Epstein stuff.
They're torn between being betrayed and their loyalty to Trump.
Right. And a lot of people, and for me, I'm happy that Thomas Massie is getting national attention over this, because he's I don't know, a few terms in now, and I really like his message. I really like his position on things. And I always thought, he's true to his position and platforms. And I think he's like an honest broker. I haven't had the opportunity to interview him or meet him in person, but unlike so many in Washington, and I get the same vibe about Marjorie Taylor Greene, whatever you think of their politics, whether you agree or disagree with their political positions, one thing you can't take away from those two, Ted, is they seem real. They seem like they live what they believe, they speak what they believe, and they're true to their own positions, and they're not going to be cowed by any threats from anybody.
Sure.
So whether you like those two politicians, those two Congress people, whether you like them or not, you cannot take that away from them, and I think that'll serve them well in 2026.
I can respect someone whose opinion I disagree with vehemently.
Yeah.
And so, it's like you're true to yourself, and good for you.
And
I
don't know
with everything you say. That doesn't matter.
I don't know that Donald Trump is actually being true to himself here. I don't know whatever happened, but I'll point this out.
This is definitely the lady doth protest too much.
Ted, have you noticed that every time when Don Jr. was involved with his dad, with his dad's campaign, he got dad more back to the true MAGA position, right? And I think Don Jr. serving sort of as a campaign advisor, more or less, really did a good job with getting his dad back to where Dad should have been.
But also important is Barron, and I'm wondering what Barron has to tell us. Anyway, we've got to keep going.
Yeah, but I think Don Jr. Right. Now that Don Jr. has been sent off to wherever, I guess Iceland to go mammoth hunting. Now the NeoCons are in Dad's ear.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard is showing in a new report how the Obama administration ginned up Russiagate. They say the Russiagate scandal. The real scandal is that the scandal was made up. And now Trump is saying that Obama should go to jail on his socials. They're in the report. It shows how, most importantly, CIA Director John Brennan told Obama in 2016 about a plan by Hillary to link Trump to the Russians as a political tactic. The briefing was documented, shared with James Comey, who was then the director of the FBI, and ultimately used to justify surveillance spying on Trump's campaign. This became the heart of Russiagate, which of course was this long fabricated narrative that basically said that Trump was Putin's bitch and Putin installed him as president in 2016. It was also the basis for the Mueller investigation, which blew through $32 million of American taxpayer money. Still no money for public schools or for homeless people, though, and yielded no charges related to Trump-Russia collusion. Instead, the Mueller investigation found that the FBI relied on dubious sources, including the completely fictional Steele dossier, and that key officials misled the FISA court to justify that spying on the campaign. So when Trump says Obama should go to jail, he is pointing to some abuses of power about a witch hunt that was weaponized against a political rival. Now, as Gabbard releases evidence confirming what people suspected, Trump is still calling for Obama to be held to account. Obviously, that will not happen. So,
no.
But, and I think that this is one of those stories, Manila, that's completely baked in, like, permanently. Basically, people's opinions about this are like, it's like climate change. You believe in it or you don't believe in it. And you believe in Russiagate or you don't believe in it. And the facts are just not going to change anyone's mind who still believes in this nonsense. They just
like Rachel Maddow.
Yeah, they're determined. I think that my Democratic friends who think this happened, I bet they could pass a lie detector. They really do believe it. They think it's true. It's, and look, it's been reinforced repeatedly by countless respectable mainstream media sources with Gothic, mastheads, and they look. It just seems legit when you've heard it over and over and over.
Right.
And even SNL is doing jokes about Putin without not wearing a shirt, like hanging with Trump. After a certain, it becomes real. The lie becomes real because you've heard it so often. Still a lie. And that's part of, and this kind of dichotomy is part of the reason as a people we're so polarized, because we're living in our own realities. I always like to say in other countries, people all agree about the basic facts. What they argue about politically is what should be done about those facts. Here in the United States, we don't get to that second step because we're still living in separate realities. If you don't think climate change is real, well, there's no problem to solve. And if you don't think, if you think that the Russians installed Trump, then you don't think that Russiagate is a scandal that needs to be solved either, right? And you don't think that anyone should be held to account. Held to account for what? It's Trump who should be held to account for being Russia's treason bitch. So it's like either way, for being the Manchurian candidate. We're screwed in this country because of that. We can't agree on our own agree on the facts.
Here's Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence. She stated that Russia had neither the intent nor the capability to hack the U.S. election.
That's true.
So my big thing is right here, this word intent. The whole point was Russia had no bad ill will, no malice towards us. They were just letting us have our election.
Also, it's the kind of thing that even if I'm sure it crossed Putin's mind, but I'm sure it was quickly dismissed because, because Putin did prefer Trump to Hillary. He was afraid of Hillary. He thought she was going to cause World War III. The whole Kremlin thought that, and with good cause. If you remember the rhetoric that she was spewing back in 2015, they were terrified of her. That was really their main concern.
Oh, she'd be loving some wars, like, Ted. Sure, she'd be loving tearing apart Libya.
No doubt. And you know that, like, in the Kremlin, someone said, well, what if can we help Mr. Trump? And I'm sure Putin was not the only person who shot that down. Are you fucking crazy? That's an act of war. If we got caught, we'd be screwed. Like shut up and don't even think about that again. That's just Putin's personality. He's not going to take that kind of chance. It's like, never mind whether he wants to.
Dude. He's a smart dude. People can hate him.
And he's a deliberate dude. I mean, Americans may not have been paying attention to what happened in Ukraine, but the provocation for him invading Ukraine was 8 years prior to the invasion. Not a lot of people wait 8 years. They're being pissed off.
And then methodical.
Now we'll go.
Right. So methodical and so slow. There was zero chance that he would have engaged in election interference. Like, there's just none. And of course, there's going to be clips, Ted, using us as, here are these, Vladimir Putin apologists, these Russian hacks over here, these American Russian hacks.
Not getting a dime from Russia these days.
We're not. No, I'm not even. We're not on payroll. Unfortunately, I would love to be on payroll.
Yeah,
we're not on payroll. But the facts are the facts, and it's so awful that you and I, Ted, are the innocent bystanders who got shot in this Hillary Clinton drive-by.
True.
We really did. Like, we lost our jobs because this was all built on this DNC lie that went on for years and cost the taxpayer, tens of millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
It proved that there was nothing, and people still want to continue like this whole, but Russia is our enemy. And now we're in a proxy war with them because they're our enemy. So it's like, it's the snake eating its own tail, right? Like, it's so stupid. We shouldn't be in this proxy war with them in Ukraine, where hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, millions maybe at this point, are dying over this, I hate to say it, trumped up narrative that Russia is our enemy.
Yep.
They didn't want to be our enemy, and that's the main takeaway I took from the Tulsi Gabbard statement.
I mean,
they wanted to be friends.
Let's get, a little history here, right? Quickly. 1917, Bolshevik Revolution, right? The Soviet, they're really weak. Russia's super weak. They've just gone through World War One and deep shit. What is the first thing the United States does? The United States sends in the U.S. Marines to invade Russia. People forget that immediately. Immediately. Okay, then now during.
Wait, we took action against Russia?
I know, shocking. So talk about election interference, right? Well, this was revolution interference, and then we're trying to restore the Tsar, and then, and then, at the end, World War II starts. The United States is like, okay, we'll work with the Russians because we have our common enemy in Nazi Germany, and so we're going to be allied with the Russians. The Russians do 99% of the fighting, 99% of the dying to beat the Nazis. At the end of the war, the Russians are like, great, we won together. I love you, you love me, and let's have a peaceful, cooperative relationship.
We make cooperation, yes.
We make cooperation. We divide sphere of influence everywhere. You'll get, yours, we get ours, and everyone's happy. Harry Truman's like, fuck you and your friendship. Like, we're gonna start the Cold. Truman starts the Cold War out of a clear blue sky for no reason whatsoever, and then. Basically, he's like, well, they're oppressing Eastern Europe. Yeah, all the Eastern European countries that had been part of Nazi Germany voluntarily, except for Poland. But, the point is, and we had all of Western Europe. I mean, this was what FDR and Stalin had worked out. We blow through that. Then then we sabotage the Soviet Union so that its economy collapses after also, fighting a proxy war against them in Afghanistan. Their economy collapses. They go into total starvation mode where everyone over 65 pretty much died of hunger in the former USSR in the 1990s. We install an alcoholic clown as their puppet ruler, Boris Yeltsin. And so no, the Russians are like, can you help us transition to capitalism? Then we could have the same system as you. We could be friends. No, we're not doing that. Fuck you.
Putin
Then
specifically tried to
Putin-
hang out with Clinton when
Yeah,
he was the prime minister.
That's right. Well, Putin, and remember, Putin was, and he was mayor of St. Petersburg. He was so pro-American. He repeatedly said, our future is with the West. Our future is with the Americans. He converted all the signs in St. Petersburg to Russian and English. Not Russian and French, which used to be the lingua franca of diplomacy in Europe. No, Russian and English. And then he's like, then, like you said, Manila, he's like, goes to the Americans like, hey, hi, we'd like to join NATO too. We'd like collective security.
Hey, Bill, can we do lunch? Can we hang out?
And
Can I?
like, what's with the gay kid? What the fuck is wrong with him? You think what? Like he's gonna come in? No. Fuck off, lad. We're at the big boys table. Fuck off. We hate you. Go away. And so that's been the history here for 100 years. And so, and then here we are. So we are the big bullying assholes to Russia.
The mean girls, Ted. Mean girls.
And also, by the way, like look at the evil. Look at the evil Russians and their military expansionism. I'm like, okay, so Russia doesn't go to the other side of the planet to invade countries. Okay, right. We do that all the time. It's like
projection.
Yeah, total projection. It's just like China is dangerous. It's the same thing. It's like we're the giant bullies. We're just scared that someone will catch on to our bullshit. So we're like, look at them. Don't look. Bart's doing stuff. Look over there. That's what it is. It's so dumb. And the Russiagate thing. I mean, look, I got to hand it to Hillary Clinton. Man, she couldn't win the presidency, but that narrative did stick, even though it was a lie.
She won the hearts and minds, Ted.
Not really.
Hearts and
yeah, not really.
Well, that's like, I would say her lasting legacy, she'll never be president, but her lasting legacy is this continued 1980s style Cold War sentiment against an entire population of people in Russia, right? That's like young Americans are suspicious of anyone coming from Russia. They hate them. It's a brand new Cold War, and part of her legacy will be dismantling and destroying Libya. That's just that's her legacy.
And it's still there. We should keep going. So days before Trump said he would help Afghan evacuees who fled their country and were stuck in the UAE, the Emirati government had already begun sending them back to Taliban-run Afghanistan and told Trump that that's what they were doing. The UAE is, of course, a close ally of the U.S. And back in 2021, when the Taliban took control of Afghanistan after the U.S. withdrawal, the UAE said, okay, we will temporarily house the Afghans that were evacuated from Kabul, several thousand of them, and we'll hold on to them while you guys figure out what to do. 17,000 Afghan evacuees have gone through this facility in Abu Dhabi known as Emirates Humanitarian City. However, more than 30 more have been stuck with their fate in limbo. Anyway, so on Sunday, the UAE was preparing to hand over some refugees to the Taliban. I will try to save them starting right now, Trump said. However, it's probably too late, at least for some of them. In a meeting back on July 10th between the U.S. and the UAE in Abu Dhabi, the special advisor to the foreign ministry, Salam al-Zabi, told the Americans that 2 families had been successfully sent back to Afghanistan back in early July. Al-Zabi told the Americans that while the UAE understood the current policy, it was going to have to move forward and get rid of the remaining 25 Afghans by yesterday, according to the cable. The Emiratis promised to get a promise from the Taliban that nothing bad will happen to them. And now the fates of those Afghan evacuees is going to affect the 1,500 Afghan men, women, and children who have been stuck in a similar camp called Al-Sailia in Qatar. Biden's administration has brought nearly 200,000 Afghans to the U.S. since 2021. So This is just a reminder that if you work with U.S. occupation authorities, in our next war, don't count on us having your back.
Yeah, I don't know what else to add about that, Ted. I mean, we've talked about these poor Afghan refugees in the UK, right? Like the UK was trying to sneak a bunch of them over. You and Robbie had some thoughts about, like, don't ever be a snitch to your own country, and, don't.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you like whoever's in charge of your country or not, it's your country. And when you help effectively what are invaders, in this case, American invaders.
Correct.
I mean, for whatever reason that the Americans are there, the Americans were still the invaders. And now you get carted off to a third country, in this case, the UAE. You can't, history has proven over and over that we don't take very good care of the people that assist us, Ted. So
correct.
They oftentimes wind up dead, amazingly.
True. I mean, honestly, I think the Taliban, it's probably going to be relatively okay. What we're doing is shameful. It doesn't change the fact that probably the Taliban are not going to kill them. They haven't really, there's been some reprisals, but not nearly as many as you'd think. And so, it's, for the most part, if you go back to Afghanistan, they don't come looking for you to kill you.
Yeah. So
for the most part,
know.
I don't know. How,
I feel bad.
I don't know how
I feel bad for
that
these
is.
people.
Yeah.
I still feel bad for them, but at the same time, it's like, well, you take that risk, right? Like, you knew that risk going into this, working with the Americans.
This is a fuck around and find out thing.
Yeah.
I remember talking to Afghans while I was there who were, ANA collaborators, and I was like, don't you worry? And they were like, yeah, but they literally were like very fatalistic. They're like, yeah, if the Taliban come back, we will be killed, but we make money for now. It's like, all right.
Okay.
Yeah, like
hard to argue with that, Ted.
You do you. Yeah.
All right. Okay then.
It's not the life choice I would make, I don't think, but
right. Right.
But I knew a guy. Ted, I knew an Afghan guy who was
never helped the government, any government.
He was sleeping with the wife of a Taliban commander.
That's a bad move.
And I was like, no pussy's that good. It's not worth it.
That, my friend, is a dumb move.
I was like, and he's like, she's so beautiful. I was like, she better be to die for, because you literally
she's so beautiful.
Well, he was seeing more than the eyes.
Oh my goodness.
No, he was balls deep all the time. But like,
goodness.
Can you imagine?
That is not smart.
Can you imagine like what would happen? I mean, you don't have to imagine. He'd certainly be stoned to death, slowly tortured to death. If he's lucky.
Imagine what would happen to her.
Well, it'd be the same thing.
I know. Like,
they'd probably be chopped, or they might be chopped into pieces. I did know
life choice is a bad life choice.
4 lady reporters who were caught by the Taliban, and they were gang raped and then chopped into small pieces, and their body parts were fed to the dogs. That was in 2001.
Oh my God. Okay. Yep. Well, I wouldn't say being a female reporter is not a bad choice. But
as Kipling has said, the Afghans are really good at killing, really good at it. Like, the Japanese, they have the packaging down really well. The French, it's food presentation. No one can beat them.
Sure.
The Israelis, they can kill the shit out of anyone. It's like,
yeah.
But the Afghans, man, it's thorough and it's painful.
Well,
like if you're just shot to death, that's a mercy.
That is the fuck around and find out line. That's a bad life choice, Ted. I'm going to advise anybody listening. Don't fuck around with a Taliban higher ups wife.
Don't fuck with Afghans. Afghans are, they play for keeps.
Okay, noted. All right, let's move on.
All right, in Japan, Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba hung on to power despite an election debacle and without having a majority in the upper house of parliament. Meanwhile, painful new anti-Japanese U.S. tariffs loom. So in Sunday's election, the Liberal Democrats, that's Ishiba's party, which have pretty much governed Japan consistently. It's technically a two-party system, but really they've ruled consistently since 1955. And its partner, Komeito, fell 3 seats short of retaining their majority. Voters angry about inflation turned to other parties, notably the Japanese First Sanseito, which made strong gains with its anti-globalist drive, echoing the populist agenda in other places. I even think the LDP should have lost more. 25-year-old Kosuyo Nanasawa, who voted for a small ultra-conservative party. I know I said there's only 2 parties, but really there's only 2 major parties, told AFP, saying that Ishiba should just step down. The debacle comes only months after Ishiba's coalition was forced into a minority government in the more powerful lower house. This is the worst LDP result in 15 years. Asked Sunday if he plans to remain in office, he said, yeah, that's right. We'll see. He can plan all he wants, Manila, but can he stay in office? Maybe. I mean, I think the LDP's days are numbered, at least in power. There's just, Japan's been in a slow state of disintegration since the 90s, economically and otherwise.
Really?
So,
That long.
the Japanese are very, very patient people, but I think we're done here.
Well, so you've been to Japan many times. I've never been, but I'm fascinated because I shared an article with you and Robbie last week ahead of the elections where the nationalists, it's the Make Japan Great Again party. They're basically, that's their version of right-wing conservatism. So it's either middle of the road conservative or severe conservative in Japan. The super right.
I'd be nervous about any desire to make Japan great again, because last time they were great, they caused a lot of mayhem.
I did like the imperial flag, though. I thought the flag was striking.
Which one are you talking about? The
imperial flag of Japan.
You mean the rising sun flag?
Yeah.
That's a misnomer, as our resident vexologist Scott would inform us. That was not the imperial. We think of that as the imperial Japanese flag. It was not. It was the naval flag. The
rising sun flag was the naval flag?
Yeah, Americans thought that was the imperial Japanese flag because when they saw it, it was flown on a Japanese vessel. It was a Navy war, right? I mean, the U.S. fought the Japanese.
Yeah.
99% of the war was they fought the Japanese Navy
in the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. Well, anyway, that flag. It's
a great flag.
A good flag.
Yeah.
Even
the dot's
shirt.
Pretty good.
I have a whole T-shirt that's the front of the flag, and just because I know, or I thought I knew what more or less what it represented, but I didn't care. I find it ironic, and it's a good-looking flag. And I deliberately wore it in downtown DC one day when I first moved here, and there were definitely some side-eye action. There was definitely side-eye action happening. Just saying. But, it's the irony because Japan tried to take over Laos multiple times. The French weren't having it, number one. And then number two, during World War II, some of the Chinese troops fended them off in Laos. So,
yeah.
To me, it's a little bit of irony. Just saying.
No, I mean, of course, the thing is that, you got to be careful. I mean, the Nazi flag's an excellent looking flag also, but,
Yeah, I mean, aesthetically, it kind of is. Yeah. Aesthetically.
Nazi aesthetics were very cool.
Well, yeah, their uniforms were Hugo Boss.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's excellent design. I'm just saying, just by pure design aesthetics, that's a beautiful uniform.
The banners, the Cathedral of Light at the
they were really the first political party that I can think of that really got a good grasp on having like a marketing department and a design department.
Well, you know who the design department was? It was Addy himself. There's a notebook.
Was it? Oh,
when
that's right, because he was an artist?
Yeah, back in 1923, when he was still a
Wow.
relatively young man, a recent World War
Huh.
I vet. He had just joined this new party called the National Socialist Party, and he was like party number whatever 30 or something like that. He was just giving speeches, but like, you know, in an idle moment, he filled out a whole notebook. Like, here's what the uniforms should look like. Here's what the
Wow.
flag should look like, and they went with that for the most part. I mean, obviously there was a lot of other design decisions, but basically, like, he just thought the swastika looked cool. It didn't have any resonance at all to German politics or society. Other things are symbolic, like the mustache. His mustache was a very old-fashioned mustache at the time, and it was meant to evoke like when Germany was classier and better in the 1800s.
With the little...
Yeah.
Really?
That was a very common mustache in Germany in the 1800s. So that's the symbolism he was trying to evoke. Symbolism is very important when you're an art student. All right.
Well,
so
I get that. I get
last
that.
but not
So,
least,
I
do you
didn't know
want
that.
to read? Oh yeah. Do we have an ad read? Let's find out about that.
Oh, Robbie, do we have a word from our sponsor? Thumbs up. Yes, we do.
We do. All right.
We
so
do. But don't read it yet, Ted. You got to wait till
if you
Robbie
could-
cues everything up.
I know. If you could kindly put that up and let me know when it's ready. In the meantime, I'll start reading here. More than half of U.S. workers recently surveyed said they feel some anxiety about taking all of the paid time to which they're entitled. A third of them say that they feel directly pressured not to use it. 9% of workers said their bosses actively tell them not to take all of their time off. That's according to a new poll conducted by Pollfish for Live Career. I don't know about that name. I might take some days off.
Speaking of marketing.
I'm going to take some days off from my job at Pollfish to pick up a new name. Anyway, the takeaway, while companies can grant time off, workplace culture can send a different message. Leadership behavior can also speak louder than policies. This echoes a Pew Research poll from February of 23. 48% of workers surveyed by Pew said they took all of the time off that's offered. That'd be a Ted Rall way to do it. 46% said they took less. Pussies. Upper income employees were more likely than their lower paid counterparts to take less time off than what's offered, which makes sense. Among those with a college degree, 51% said they took less time. 41% said, as opposed to 41% with less education. 21% of blacks say they don't take any time off because they're afraid of losing their jobs. 13% of whites have the same concern. Salaried workers, 52%, are more likely than hourly workers, 39% to take less time off. And 1 out of 5 workers say they're less likely to take time off when their manager or leadership rarely does. The survey concluded that employees need systems, support, and security to feel comfortable in taking time off from work and recharging. Manila, I'm really glad you brought up this story because I have thoughts about it. I used to work for Bear Stearns.
I thought you would.
I used to work for Bear Stearns, and officially there was no time limit whatsoever on the number of sick days or vacation or personal days you could take.
Pause your thought, Ted. The timer is ticking. Robbie
right.
says we got to do the word from our sponsor.
Okay, there it is. Let's do it. Okay, so this sponsorship is from Rumble, one that's incredibly important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden-Harris administration. Rumble did not. They held the line. They're attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They're attacked in corporate media. They're attacked by governments like France. They're attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. Watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight and you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble's offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and please use the promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we're just happy if you watch us here on Rumble. So anyway, Bear Stearns, they had no limit whatsoever on the number of vacation days, sick days, et cetera, that you could take. And I remember talking to some people there, and Bear Stearns had some of the lowest absenteeism of any Wall Street firm. In other words, they found that by having it be uncertain, people didn't know how much they could take, so they tended to take less. And another thing is, like, when I've had better paying, more high profile, better jobs that I cared about losing, I definitely tried to work. Well, I wanted to work more. I tended to stick around more. I worked late. I had more to do. If I was out for the day, I'd still be reachable by email. I'd check in and work. But when I had like a low paid shit job, I took every second I possibly could, and I stole office supplies. You know what I mean? Like I'm like definitely like, so I think workers who are more vested in their jobs are going to take all their vacay. Probably there should be some sort of encouragement of upper level staff to take more time off, lest they get burnt out. But on the other hand, I don't feel sorry for them because those people are getting paid better anyway. So things are kind of working out the way they ought to. But I think it's fascinating psychologically that, like, if you say, when I lived in California, I knew people who had open marriages, and there were people who had rules and people who had no rules. There were people who had the rules were like you can be with one new person a month, not two, one. Other people were just like, whatever, just do whatever you want. And the people who had the rule that you could do whatever you want fucked around less than the people who had the quota. They were like, I'm going to use my.
It's kind of like a diet.
I'm using my coupon. I'm using my get out of jail card.
It's kind of like a diet where if, like, for example, I don't generally like chocolate, but I bet if somebody told me you can never eat chocolate again, I would suddenly really want to eat chocolate.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's the forbidden fruit thing. But I think it's also just like, it's like voting. Like many Americans never vote, particularly in minor elections. But they'd get really upset if they were told they couldn't.
Yeah. Well, so here's what on USA Today they published the results of Pollfish. Like what a terrible name. So they published the results.
It's the fish of the pole.
I don't get that. All right.
I mean, it's so I guess really, Manila, all of the good names were taken. No question.
I guess.
I mean,
Pollfish
you've already gone through Quinnipiac and Rasmussen.
Why aren't workers taking time off? So these were the list of questions. Does the company discourage taking time off? People polled, 49% said the company doesn't discourage, but workload makes it difficult. So that's 49%.
Yeah, you come back on your desk, everybody's piled up. Yeah, and they do it gleefully. They're like,
like you have all this shit to do. Or workers, 6% of workers said it's discouraged by the company in subtle ways. 2% said it's explicitly discouraged, which is against the law.
Total asshole.
That's against the law. Yeah. Okay. What makes you hesitant to take time off? 19% says work will pile up. 19% says I will miss something or lose an opportunity. 12% say I'll be perceived as less committed. 8% said I'll be laid off or replaced. How about what do you need to feel confident to take time off? 51% said better financial stability. 26% said more PTO.
Yeah, 25% we don't get a lot of vacation in this country.
No, we don't. 25% say backup or coverage for work. That makes sense. 18% say mental health days built into the benefits, which I agree.
I really like
help
that.
With burnout.
Yeah, because otherwise you just have to lie and be like,
I'm sick.
I can't come in.
18% say supportive leadership. 12% less fear of layoffs.
Yeah.
Okay. 7% say clearer policies on time off. Now here's what they say. Why do you take less time off than is offered? 52%, Ted, said they don't feel the need to take all their time off.
Well, good for
49% say they might fall behind at work. 19% or 43% say they don't want to be a burden on their coworkers. 19% say it may hurt the chance for advancement. 16% fear risk of losing their job. 12% manager discourages taking time off. But then if we scroll way down here, I saw something, a poll. Oh, maybe it's somewhere else. But the French, I think I have it here. Let me load this page. But the fact that 12%, one in 10 people down here, manager discourages taking time off, and you add the 16% might risk losing job. So now you are in the 28%. So now you're roughly 1/3 of workers fear asking for their due time off.
Fear is obviously an important factor here, right?
So look, here's the thing that I was talking about. CNBC published not long ago why U.S. vacation policies are so much worse than Europe's. And Ted, to your people, here it is. Paid vacation, paid holidays. France, followed by the UK. Well, I'll go back. We can look at that again. That's what this looks like and where the U.S. falls. We are down at the very bottom. We don't even have a solid enough PTO policy that we get we don't even get a yellow line. So France at the top, UK, Austria, Denmark, Finland, Norway,
I want to
Spain.
clarify, Manila, that what you're looking at there are not the reason that the U.S. You might say like, well, the U.S. doesn't have 0 vacation days. These countries guarantee under the law those paid vacations. Okay, so in France, you get 30. Yeah, it's 30. It's under the law. So
I had that in the UAE.
If you work for like a French company, you get more than 30 days.
I got that from the UAE. The United Arab Emirates gave me a guaranteed full month of holiday.
Yeah, like that's why in France, the entire country's on vacation the month of July and August, right? So, I mean, 6 weeks to 8 weeks is standard in Europe, like for like a young worker. Wow. It's more if you're like an executive or someone, or you're more advanced or you have experience. I mean, 3 months is not at all unusual in a place like France. Between national holidays and guaranteed paid vacation. Certainly,
so it's like a
don't get me started on
schedule.
maternity and paternity leave. But
So it's like a teacher work schedule.
These are government guaranteed. That's why the U.S. has 0, because the U.S. literally doesn't think that a worker is guaranteed a single minute paid by their employee. That's up entirely to the whims of your boss.
Wow.
And the land of the free, my fucking ass.
Yeah, like when I had my son, I was lucky that I was given 8 paid full paid 8 weeks of maternity leave, and I could take longer if I wanted, but to be full pay, it was 8 weeks. But then come to find out, my colleagues who didn't work for RT America, they worked for the parent company RT, and they're Russian citizens. They got a full year of maternity leave, an X amount at full pay. I forget the number of months, but it was more than mine. And then they were allowed to be gone for a full year. They cannot lose their job if they take the full year, and they would get still, it was like an amortized amount of time, like 100% of pay. And then all the way down towards the 12th month, you're at like 30% pay or I'm making that number up, but it was something like amortized like that. But I remember thinking, what the fuck is wrong with America? Like, you want us to have more babies, but then you make it impossible for us to have babies, to be at home with our babies and support our babies. I had to use my PTO time on top of that. I had to save my PTO, basically, when we still had rollover for this purpose. But I still felt like I was blessed and lucky that I had any of it at all, because that is the sad state of the American worker, is that our government doesn't care that corporations work us to death. People are dying of heart disease at crazy rates. A lot of heart disease is rooted in stress.
Of course.
And much of the stress is financial and work. And it's no wonder, no wonder the French can eat all the cheese and smoke all the cigarettes and they're just fine.
They don't smoke cigarettes anymore, really.
I haven't been in like 10 years. But
Yeah, smoking is like pretty much finished there.
it's passé. Well,
Wait.
And then you look at the UK. Look at the UK, Ted. The UK comes in a very close second to just under 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really behind the mark, Ted, of our Western alliances.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else is doing better than us.
By the way,
and down at the bottom,
if you added
Japan.
if you added countries in the developing world, it's not very different. I mean, and not that Iran is a developing world country, but Iran has a lot of paid holidays, man. Every Muslim saint gets a day off. So.
Well, I just thought that was an interesting way to start our Mondays, to be like, because we're dreaming of Friday, right? Every American worker is like working for the weekend. That's why we have songs about this. And there's been no movement on that. And Ted, isn't it bizarre that nobody on Capitol Hill has ever even bothered to revisit in the past 30 years any workers' rights issues?
Right. No, I mean, neither party gives a shit about this. I keep thinking about producer Robbie's idea that we really need a populist party that unifies the populist left with the populist right to fight for things like workers' rights. Although that would be, I think, it would be a stretch for the populist right. They're not used to doing that. They're used to we pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. We're rugged individualists. Right. We don't need any help from the government. This is not about help from the government. It's about, it's about fairness and decency and about getting paid what you're owed. I mean, if you show up to do a hard day's honest day of work, you should get paid accordingly. And I don't think that's a left-wing, right-wing thing. I mean, really.
Yeah. I wish there was. And I'm not saying Elon Musk is the patron saint of this, because he's notoriously known for overworking all of his engineers and whatever.
Are they paid
but
well?
if he, they're paid well, above market, from my understanding. And I have
so basically that's
insight.
The trade-off is
I guess.
Yeah.
They're at least
Robbie's like their H-1B.
I'm talking about his American ones.
Not the engineers.
I have some insight into some of his workers. So I can tell you they're Americans, born and bred. And the ones I'm thinking of are as white as Robbie and Ted. And they're paid well above market, doing really well with stock in the companies that they work for, right? Whether it's SpaceX or Twitter or whatever. That's part of their package. They're paid very well, but I guess that's the trade-off. Like you said, Ted, is we're going to pay you really well, but I'm going to work your ass to the bone. Right. So if Elon is
that's the Silicon Valley
going to launch this party, Ted, that's something he really needs, the mantle. If he really wants to make any improvements
he doesn't seem to know what the fuck he's doing.
I don't think he knows what that party's going to be.
Yeah.
I agree. But I'm just saying, I'm putting this out there because Elon watches this. We're talking on Twitter right now, on X now.
That's right, Elon.
Elon is watching this. Elon, if you want to get all the young conservatives that helped go with you to propel Trump to power, how you get the young male conservatives here is that they understand the importance of time off.
You don't get to a young majority. You don't get to a majority unless you bring in the left with you.
Yeah,
that's
but
true.
This is something that the
or
left
even a plurality.
And the right,
you need a plurality.
They will agree on this. The young left and the young right voters will agree on this, is that America needs laws and protection for time off. We need guaranteed paid time off. We need guaranteed health care. We need guaranteed mental health. This is something the left and right both agree on, and no party right now is taking up that mantle.
So Manila, we should leave that there because Robbie and I have work to do. We're going to do a Rumble Premium episode. You have business to attend to, so we're going to record
I have a fire going on my phone here
exclusively for your awesome Rumble Premium subscribers. This is not live, so don't stay tuned. It's going to be a tape. No. But Robbie and I have to take care of it. Get that sucker in the can, and then your phone's blowing up. All right, go.
HOA.
Oh shit. Oh really? The HOA. Oh shit. All right. Well.
Oh yeah. This has been fucking fun.
Bye,
all right. With
everyone.
that, guys, thank you for tuning in.
Manila, you're here tomorrow.
I'm here. Okay. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hasta mañana, amigos. Bye.
Oh, wow.